Hi again. Coming back to this idea of the self-governing, self-supporting, and self-propagating churches. Uh, this missions philosophy was first developed by Rufus Anderson and Henry Venn. It helped establish a theory of missions that has prevailed and become the most popular missions philosophy that helped spread global Christianity. And uh, and this was important, especially as in this century we entered a post-colonial world where Christianity had to be supported, had to grow outside of the support of colonial empires. It had to begin to be established locally, and it had to remove itself from a dependency that had unfortunately been created by some colonial missionary efforts. Um, Two other things that began to emerge almost simultaneously uh, as this popular self-supporting, self-propagating idea began to spread was the idea of a much greater variety of Christian denominations and networks that began to develop, especially as we entered a post-colonial world. There's currently 42,000 and actually increasing every year different Christian denominations and networks in the world today, and also the idea of post-denominationalism. So that idea is simply the idea that the lines have become so blurred between different Christian groups that generally, especially in this generation today, Christians generally don't care about what label they might wear, what denominational loyalty they might have, if any at all. And because of that, most churches today have actually rebranded themselves outside of outside of their own denominational loyalty. So the church, for example, many of you go to a variety of different churches, um, but I probably would be surprised if any of you go to churches that actually name their denomination in their church name. It's become less and less common, and it's a reflection of post-denominational Christianity. Um, but related to that issue of post-denominationalism is as Christianity became more segmented, more variegated, something else began to be addressed: the idea of ecumenism. How can we work together and cooperate together? Certainly, there was the development of non-denominational Christian societies, missions societies that I've already mentioned, the emergence of the YMCA and the YWCA, the Salvation Army. I'm sure you saw their donation buckets at your favorite department store this Christmas, but also Goodwill Industries. Um, in as all of these organizations began to develop, we also saw a response of Christianity in newer Christian mission fields that created both opportunities and challenges. Certainly, opportunities as Christianity globally has shifted in the last century. The percentage of Christians in the world hasn't really changed. There's still about a third of the world that is Christian today. That was true about 100 years ago as well, but the majority of Christians in the world today are found in Africa and South America and somewhat in Asia. Um, but but in the midst of all of these changes, Christians often found shared beliefs. Evangelical Christians found that they were united in shared Christian beliefs and values, but also charismatic Christians, as renewal Christianity began to spread globally, found that they shared a common experience in spirit uh, baptism. Because of these shared beliefs and shared experience, uh, and especially after World War I and World War II, there began to be a renewed emphasis upon cooperation in Christianity. In the field of missions, the Edinburgh Missionary Conference of 1910 was a way of trying to find ways of working together that still remains influential in Christian missions today. The World Council of Churches was an ecumenical organization that was trying to help Christian groups cooperate, and the Second Vatican Council, which allowed dialogue to begin between Roman Catholics and Protestants. But, in the midst of all of this change in the 20th century, there was the decline of colonialism, the demise of positivism, the need for solutions in a world that just didn't seem to find answers outside of God. But also in the midst of this, interestingly and finally, there were competing visions of Christianity that developed in the 19th century and have continued to challenge Christianity today. And first of all, one of these that's the fastest growing has been the fastest growing heterodox Christian movement in North America today is Mormonism, established by Joseph Smith. It was led by Brigham Young, but also Seventh-day Adventists. Now, I in a way, I hate to put them in this category because they aren't really a heterodox movement, in my opinion. They actually identify with evangelicals, but they have a different competing vision, in a sense, of their ideas regarding Christianity. They certainly emphasize the return of Christ, which is an important evangelical value. They emphasize the authority of Scripture, but they also adopted certain dietary restrictions and other restrictions like how we observe the Sabbath. Jehovah's Witnesses is another unorthodox or heterodox group. In fact, I had two of them visit my door recently, and I'm sure they've visited your door as well. That's part of their core beliefs, is to be involved in personal evangelism by going door to door. They have an emphasis upon the return of Christ, but they reject Trinitarianism. And finally, Christian Science is another influential Christian, actually not really a Christian group at all. They utilize some ancient Gnostic ideas in their theology, but they really evolved as really kind of a modern Gnostic movement. And largely in the last few decades, they've become less and less influential in the United States and America today. But all of these groups have created competing visions of what Christianity might perhaps look like. And in the midst of that, they did, in a way, challenge renewal Christian movements, and they challenged or asked us. They helped us ask the question: what does it mean to be a Christian? What does it mean to be a Christian who is trying to shape their Christianity within its boundaries of Scripture, but also a Christianity that is vital, that pursues God intimately and passionately in the world today? Well, thank you. I look forward to talking to you again next time as well.